Alright, today we're going to do a quick little video on working with sends and inputs and outputs to send tracks to other tracks. So I have a small little session pulled up that's it's not really a recorded session, but I just threw up some dummy tracks and named them as if I was working on a small little mixing setup. I got this set up like I'm working on a little mixer. So I got a right overhead, a left overhead, kick, snare, bass guitar, lead guitar, main vocals, backup vocals, two delays, one short, one long, and a reverb. These are going to be my effects right here that will be I'll be sending the tracks into those. One thing that I sort of have a issue with is putting different I know in most cases you'll see people will put a different reverb on every track. For the snare they have one type of reverb set for a drum plate or something, and then on the main vocals they'll have something. Backup vocals maybe something a little different. Guitar they'll put a little reverb on there. Sometimes they'll use a amp simulation that comes with some reverb pedals and whatnot. Now you know I personally will not do that so much unless I'm doing electronic music, but in most cases I want the band to sound like they're in one room. And so what I'll do is I'll set up a reverb like I got it here on channel 12, throwing a reverb. I like to use this because I can throw in an impulse. I love impulses. To me they sound more true to life than reverb plugins. So you throw in an impulse that you may like. If you're not familiar with impulses, you can do a little search on them and find a lot about them. There's some free impulses out there. They're really great. So anyways, you throw that in there, and then you want to go all wet and none dry, or however you want to set it up. But definitely, you don't want to put any dry signal in there, because all you're going to get from this channel 12 is just the reverb. Alright, so then you hit this IO button, and so what you're doing now is you are sending some of these tracks into that reverb plugin. So all you're going to get is the reverb sound, and so you can mix that into your mix how much reverb you want. So you receive, let's say you definitely want the snare in there, you want some guitar, maybe a little bit of lead guitar, definitely some vocals, and maybe you want to do a hair of the backup vocals. And you can put everything in here if you really wanted to. You can set up a master track or something, send that thing into it, but the real power in this is you can set it up as much as you want. So you're going to want a good amount of snare in the reverb. You're going to want maybe not so much guitar, and maybe a little extra lead guitar more than the main guitar. This is to give it a little atmosphere. The main vocals you're going to want a good amount in there, and then the backup vocals. Wait, I picked the wrong one. Let's get rid of that one, and let's add backup vocals. Okay. And the backup vocals, obviously, maybe just a little bit less than your main vocal. So what you're doing is you're mixing all the channels that you want to have reverb in this little session right here. Fade them in the direction that you want, and then all this mix right here is going to be combined into this channel right here. So once you get your reverb sound, let's say you can solo the reverb, so all you're going to hear is reverb. These would stay lit because they're actually active. You're not hearing the main track, but because they are being sent into the reverb, they have to be on, or you won't hear nothing in there. So you can listen to just what the reverb sounds like and say, okay, that's a good relation. Sometimes it'll almost sound like you're in this big concert arena, and then you walk outside to go I don't know, talk to a buddy, or smoke if that's what you do, or whatever, and you can still hear the band, but they're not crystal clear. And so you kind of want to get that feel to it. So you want to bring it in, and you say, okay, well, it's a little uneven. Let me change this up a little bit until you get that really nice sound. Where it's definitely reverb, but it has a mix of its own as well. And then you go back, maybe you pull it back. you listen to your mix and you're bringing it up gradually, just to give it that atmosphere, give it that really good live feel. And then you kind of maybe turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on, and see if you notice that difference. Same thing with your delays. If you want to give your vocals a little bit of delay, then go ahead and put a, you know, put a delay here, set it up to where it's maybe it's a long delay, or this would be a short delay because we got short delay here. So set up something that's just like pop, 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 you know, something like that. And then you got a longer one that's more like pop, pop, pop. And you know, you want a little delay on the guitar, and then a little delay on the vocals, and then just, you know, bring them in the same exact way. And then you know, you can pull these back again, and then kind of just bring them up a little bit. And you can even set this up to where you let's insert a track, and you can set this up as a folder, and you can just call this you know, effects or whatever. I guess that's how you spell it. You know, effects. And then yeah, you can set the whole thing up. So you got a little mix here of your reverb, and you'll do the same thing with your short delay, your long delay. And then you can even you know, solo that and kind of bring in, you know, the delays into your reverb. And then you can bring the whole thing back. Listen to your dry mix, get that mixed together, and then gently bring in your effects to where it sounds you know, more melted. And you know, to me, that it's just going to sound a little bit better than putting an effect on every single track, you know. And there's other tricks you can use with this as well. If you wanted to throw in a, you know, you wanted to throw in a compressor right here, and just, you know, smash it to bits, make the setting crazy. Oh yeah, and also make sure that when you do these on these effects, you don't want no dry signal in there. You know, you're getting the dry signal from your mix. You know, this is all wet. This is nothing but effects. So let's say you got this crazy compressor, you know, and it's just being smashed to bits, and you can bring in a little bit of the vocals in there, just to give it that underneath layer. You know, you can bring in the drums if you have a drum bus, bring in the whole bus, and then you know, again, you know, for the compression, you can bring in some vocals, and then maybe you want to bring in, like, you know, you could bring in all the drums, or you can set up a drum bus and bring in the whole drum bus. But if you were to bring in you know, the snare, you may want to beat the snare up with some compression, a little bit of or beat the snare up, a little compression, and then maybe not so much for the vocals. Set up your mix like that. It's going to sound trashy, you know, when you have it all the way up, but then you bring it back. So you let the mix override it and bring it right underneath it, and you'll get that thicker sound. So working with these, working with synths, you know, and receiving and sending tracks it's a really cool benefit to, you know, to change your mix a bit. So all right, there it is.